Hi, welcome to Steve's Seaside Allotment channel, and it's rather splendid down on the allotment today. We don't often get snow, and I did a bit of preparation in anticipation of what was going to be -4 degrees last night and a snowfall. So I'll show you what I did and the results. So this is what it looks like on the site. Really quite lovely. Compost bins are still heating up, which is nice to see. And what I did was I topped all of these cold frames with old carpet. When we took the carpets up a couple of years ago, I cut them into squares which effectively fit on each half of these cold frames. I've never had occasion to use them, and you can actually see the carpet sitting there, and it seems to have worked. None of the cold frames froze last night, so that's pretty good. And you can see there's been something walking around on top of the cold frame. I'm not quite sure what that is. It looks a bit big for a cat, but maybe a cat. And actually it shows how the netted frames work as well. I've actually noticed that these netted frames are actually quite useful over winter because they do keep the snow off, and they do seem to provide just a little bit of protection to everything that's inside. I've noticed it particularly with the Claytonia, and that seems to do, I can't really see it very well, but much better under these netted frames than in the open ground. Can't actually get into it to show you it very well, but there we go. Yeah, so this is much better than the stuff in the open ground that's completely unprotected. It only gets a slight amount of protection, but that just seems to be enough to make a difference. So that's pretty good. And this is quite interesting. Something has had a right old play on top of this cold frame. These are the hotbeds, and it looks like something's been climbing around on top of these. It's really quite surprising. No idea what's been going on here, but this is definitely something's had a right old play. And I'll just have a look in the greenhouse. I did actually put the heater on in the greenhouse for the first time this year, and yeah, it's still pumping out a bit of heat, and nothing seems to have frozen in here. Everything seems to be fine. Everything seems to be in very good condition. Just this little in the greenhouse makes all the difference, actually. Holds off a bit of heat, so it holds in a bit of extra heat. Yeah, everything's great in there. Good to get out of those fumes though. Anyway, so that's the snowy allotment plot. I shall be clearing, well, I don't even know whether I'll bother clearing the snow off these frames. I might do. Anyway, we'll see what happens later on today. Should be an exciting day. Well, that's all the tops cleared off, and opinions are varying amongst the people who've walked past. Some people think it's a good idea to leave the snow on, and others, like me, think it's a good idea to take it off and just let the sun heat the beds up a little bit, because I think that will work out, and I'll know because I can watch the temperature rise and see. I'll just take a look inside one of the beds, and it's looking pretty good. No sign of frost in there, but a little bit of damage to some of the leaves, but not too bad. I'm pretty happy with that. And I am going to be cutting some fleece squares and putting them over all this veg, because we are expecting temperatures down to -9 over the next few days. And actually that's why I've cleaned the tops of the beds, because that will give me access. So they need to warm up a bit, because otherwise they'll be frozen shut and I won't be able to put the fleece on. So here's hoping for a bit of sunshine later on today, and for now I'm going to get my brunch. Well, I'm back from brunch and it's warming up a bit now actually. It's still cold, it's probably still freezing outside, but the cold frames and the tunnels are warming up quite nicely. And I'll actually just pop a couple of screenshots in from the app on my phone that tracks the temperature. And I'll show you the cold frame first, and I'll do it now. And then I'll show you the temperature from one of the hoop tunnels, which is substantially better than the cold frame. But hoop tunnels are just nowhere near as convenient, so it's kind of, it's nice to have a mix of the two. Cold frames are just really easy to open and vent, and in any weather basically, and they're cheap to make. Hoop and store, because it's very easy to take the tops off the cold frames and store them away in spring and summer and autumn. But the hoop tunnels are just more effective at trapping the heat. So anyway, I'll show you both of those. Stumps ground out today, so Andy is on his way. He's going to be here in about an hour's time, and hopefully these 3 stumps will be gone. And he's bringing a giant stump grinder, because his is he burnt the motor out on one previous job a couple of weeks ago, and so he's borrowing one. Apparently it's a bit of a monster, so it'll be interesting to see whether he can actually get access onto the site, well, onto my plot just down this path here. Hopefully he can. Anyway, it's getting cold again now, sun's gone in, so I'll come back later. So I'm cutting some fleece at the moment, and I've got me little salads in this hoop tunnel. One of the things I like about the hoop tunnels is how you can just lay the fleece on like this, and then just very simply close the hoop tunnel down on top of it without bothering with any fastenings or anything like that. And then of course it just traps it really nicely. So I'm doing all the hoop tunnels and some of the cold frames. So the fleece that I'm using is not it's not very thick. It's very thin and flimsy. But it doesn't really matter when it's going inside the cold frames, because it's not getting any there's no wind to damage it. It's just providing a little bit of extra warmth. So I've cut about 8 of these sheets. I'm just going to pop them inside the cold frames now. And it's probably these beds that I'm most concerned about: the radishes, the early carrots. So pleased to get those snug away. And these early lettuce beds, because these lettuces are quite mature now and looking gorgeous. We'll be picking those next week, hopefully, if all goes to plan. Depends on how long this really cold weather lasts, but that looks nice and snuggly now. Well, the Stumps one, wow, it was a beast of a machine that they brought. So I'll just quickly show you some photographs of the machine in action, and then I'll show you what we ended up with. So this is where the polytunnel is going, and I've done a quick level of the area. It needs a little bit more trampling down and everything, but it's not bad. Leaving a little deeper furrow down the edge of the path, because I'm probably going to put some paving slabs or something down there. The polytunnel sand starts where the level of the land raises up a little bit, and it's not quite fully leveled yet. I'm just going to move a little bit of the soil from over that side down to this corner here, but it's not bad. I'm pretty pleased, and I'm quite pleased I managed to get it done as well, because I'm not sure whether it's going to be frosty later on this week, so I thought, well, best get it done now. And I'm just going to close up the beds now. I've had to open up a few because they were getting a bit warm, and yeah, so I'm going to close them up now and I'm going to go home. So I'll see you soon.